Welcome to Frema Audiobooks, a space created for those who want to move beyond doubt, hesitation, and external validation, and step into a deeper sense of confidence, control, and inner strength that does not collapse under pressure. If you have ever felt capable of more, yet held back by fear, inconsistency, or uncertainty, this audiobook was created for you, because personal power is not about dominance or ego, but about self-mastery, clarity, and emotional steadiness. Today's audiobook is titled Personal Power, Build Confidence, Control and Inner Strength, and it is a focused journey into understanding how confidence is developed, how emotional control strengthens decision-making, and how inner strength is cultivated through discipline, resilience, and self-awareness rather than external approval. This audiobook explores how to reclaim control over thoughts, reactions, and habits, so that your actions align with your values and long-term direction. Before we begin, we invite you to subscribe to Frema Audiobooks like this audiobook, share it with someone who wants to build real confidence and inner strength, and leave a comment telling us where you are listening from. Because your support allows this channel to continue creating meaningful audiobooks that empower personal growth and lasting transformation. Before we move into the deeper principles that shape confidence and inner strength, it is important to understand that this audiobook is structured into 8 carefully connected chapters, each one designed to progressively build your sense of personal power from the inside out so that confidence becomes stable, emotional control becomes natural, and strength becomes part of your identity rather than a temporary state. Every chapter builds upon the previous one, allowing you to move from awareness to mastery gradually, because personal power is not discovered in a single realization, but cultivated through understanding, reflection, and disciplined practice over time. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Personal Power. Understanding confidence, control, and inner strength. In this chapter we explore what personal power truly means, how confidence differs from arrogance, why emotional control is the core of real strength, and how building a strong internal foundation creates stability, clarity, and resilience in every area of life. Personal power begins with understanding that true confidence is not loud, defensive, or dependent on external validation, but quiet, steady, and rooted in self-awareness and consistent action. Because without this distinction, confidence is easily confused with ego and strength is mistaken for dominance. Many people seek confidence by trying to impress others. Yet this approach creates fragile self-worth that collapses when approval is withdrawn. Fragile confidence breeds anxiety. Anxiety disrupts clarity. Disrupted clarity weakens decisions. Wisdom reframes confidence as self-trust. Self-trust grows through follow-through. Follow-through builds credibility with oneself. Credibility strengthens stability. Stability forms the core of personal power. Control is often misunderstood as controlling circumstances or other people, yet real control begins internally through mastery of thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Because external control is unpredictable while internal regulation creates consistency. When reactions are impulsive, consequences become chaotic. Chaotic consequences weaken stability. Stability requires emotional awareness. Awareness creates pause. Pause allows choice. Choice restores direction. Direction strengthens identity. Identity anchors personal power. Inner strength develops through discipline rather than force because consistent alignment between values and behavior gradually builds resilience that remains steady even when conditions change unexpectedly. Discipline shapes habits. Habits shape identity. Identity shapes confidence. Confidence stabilizes performance. Performance reinforces belief. This cycle strengthens over time. Personal power becomes dependable rather than reactive. Self-awareness is foundational because without understanding personal triggers, insecurities, and strengths, individuals often operate from unconscious patterns that undermine growth and clarity. Awareness reveals patterns. Revealed patterns allow correction. Correction strengthens integrity. Integrity builds self-respect. Self-respect deepens confidence. Confidence stabilizes presence. Presence enhances influence. Emotional regulation is another pillar of personal power, because the ability to remain composed during stress prevents external events from dictating internal state. Composure protects clarity. Clarity improves judgment. Improved judgment strengthens outcomes. Outcomes reinforce belief. Belief supports resilience. Inner strength becomes reliable rather than conditional. Personal power also grows through responsibility, because taking ownership of decisions and outcomes eliminates excuses that weaken agency and diminish confidence. Ownership restores control. Restored control increases action. Action builds progress. Progress strengthens belief. Belief reinforces identity. Personal power expands through accountability. Another essential insight is that comparison erodes personal power because constantly measuring oneself against others creates insecurity and distraction rather than clarity and growth. Insecurity weakens focus. Weakened focus reduces consistency. Knowledge redirects attention inward. Inward focus strengthens alignment. Alignment supports stability. Stability reinforces confidence. Ultimately, personal power is built from within through awareness, emotional regulation, disciplined action, and responsibility, creating a stable foundation that supports confidence and resilience regardless of external circumstances. This chapter establishes that before influence or success can be sustained externally, inner control and clarity must be cultivated internally, because personal power is not granted, but built deliberately over time. Now that we have established personal power as something rooted in self-awareness, emotional regulation, and responsibility, the next essential step is strengthening confidence in a way that does not collapse under pressure or criticism. In this chapter, we explore how unshakable confidence is built through action, self-trust, and disciplined repetition rather than through empty affirmation or temporary success. Chapter 2. Building unshakable confidence, strengthening self-belief through action. In this chapter, we explore how real confidence is constructed through consistent action, why self-belief grows from evidence rather than wishful thinking, and how disciplined effort builds an internal stability that remains steady even when circumstances become challenging. Unshakable confidence does not appear suddenly through motivation or encouragement, but develops gradually through repeated experiences of following through on commitments, especially when effort feels uncomfortable or uncertain. Many people wait to feel confident before acting, yet confidence most often follows action rather than precedes it. Action builds experience. Experience reduces uncertainty. Reduced uncertainty strengthens belief. Strengthened belief stabilizes identity. Identity reinforces action. This upward cycle creates authentic confidence rooted in lived proof rather than imagination. Self-belief strengthens when promises made to oneself are consistently honored, because internal credibility is built the same way external trust is formed, through reliability and consistency over time. Broken promises weaken confidence. Kept promises restore trust. Trust supports discipline. Discipline sustains progress. Progress provides evidence. Facing manageable challenges also strengthens confidence, because each small risk taken and navigated successfully expands the perception of capability and resilience. Avoidance reinforces fear. Confrontation reduces fear. Reduced fear increases courage. Courage supports action. Action produces growth. Growth reinforces strength. Confidence becomes grounded in reality rather than fantasy. Another key aspect of unshakable confidence is reframing failure, because setbacks are often interpreted as personal inadequacy rather than opportunities for growth and adjustment. Negative interpretation damages belief. Reframing restores perspective. Perspective preserves resilience. Resilience sustains action. Action rebuilds progress. Confidence survives through correction rather than denial. Preparation also strengthens confidence, because knowing that effort has been invested in skill development reduces doubt during execution and stabilizes performance under pressure. Preparation builds competence. Competence increases clarity. Clarity reduces hesitation. Reduced hesitation improves results. Results reinforce belief. Confidence deepens through readiness. Comparing progress only to personal growth rather than to others protects confidence from external fluctuation, because self-worth anchored internally remains more stable than approval-dependent validation. Internal validation strengthens identity. Identity stabilizes behavior. Stable behavior sustains progress. Progress reinforces belief. Confidence becomes self-generated rather than borrowed. Consistency is more powerful than intensity in building confidence, because repeated moderate effort produces reliable evidence of capability, whereas occasional bursts of performance create unstable self-perception. Consistency builds rhythm. Rhythm sustains discipline. Discipline reinforces identity. Identity strengthens belief. Confidence becomes predictable rather than fragile. Ultimately, unshakable confidence grows from disciplined action, honest reflection, and repeated self-trust, creating an internal strength that remains stable even when external validation fades or criticism arises. This chapter reinforces that confidence is not something you feel. As emotional mastery strengthens composure and stabilizes internal reactions, the next layer of personal power emerges through discipline and self-control, because true authority over life begins with authority over daily choices and impulses. In this chapter, we explore how disciplined behavior reinforces confidence, how self-control strengthens identity, and why inner authority is built through consistent alignment between intention and action. Chapter 4. Discipline and self-control, strengthening inner authority. In this chapter, we explore how discipline builds inner authority, why self-control strengthens personal identity and confidence, and how consistent alignment between values and actions transforms intention into reliable personal power. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction or punishment. Yet in reality, it functions as a stabilizing force that protects long-term goals from short-term impulses, allowing personal power to grow steadily rather than fluctuate with mood or temptation. When impulses dominate decisions, direction becomes inconsistent. Inconsistency weakens credibility. Weak credibility diminishes self-trust. Discipline restores structure. Structure supports repetition. Repetition builds habit. Habit shapes identity. Identity reinforces confidence. Inner authority begins to form through consistent self-control. Self-control strengthens identity because each decision aligned with long-term values reinforces the belief that you are capable of guiding your life intentionally rather than reacting to circumstances passively. Aligned decisions build integrity. Integrity strengthens respect for oneself. Self-respect stabilizes behavior. Stable behavior reinforces reliability. Reliability deepens confidence. Confidence solidifies personal power. Temptation tests discipline because immediate gratification often conflicts with meaningful growth. And without clear internal authority, short-term satisfaction can override long-term stability. Immediate satisfaction fades quickly. Long-term growth compounds slowly. Discipline chooses compounding over convenience. This choice strengthens resilience. Resilience reinforces control. Control supports clarity. Clarity strengthens confidence. Routine plays a powerful role in strengthening discipline because repeated patterns of aligned action reduce reliance on willpower and make self-control automatic rather than exhausting. Automatic habits conserve energy. Conserved energy supports focus. Focus improves execution. Execution strengthens progress. Progress reinforces belief. Discipline becomes embedded within daily life. Another key insight is that discipline is strengthened through small, consistent acts rather than dramatic effort. Because repeated moderate alignment builds reliability more effectively than occasional intense restraint. Reliability stabilizes identity. Identity supports consistency. Consistency compounds growth. Growth deepens confidence. Personal power becomes dependable rather than fragile. Another key insight is that discipline is strengthened through small, consistent acts rather than dramatic effort. Because repeated moderate alignment builds reliability more effectively than occasional intense restraint. Reliability stabilizes identity. Identity supports consistency. Consistency compounds growth. Growth deepens confidence. Personal power becomes dependable rather than fragile. Accountability accelerates discipline because acknowledging responsibility for choices removes excuses that undermine inner authority and reinforces control over direction. Ownership builds empowerment. Empowerment strengthens resilience. Resilience sustains discipline. Discipline protects long-term goals. Personal power expands through accountability. Discipline also requires self-compassion because harsh self-judgment during occasional lapses can discourage continued effort, whereas balanced correction restores alignment without damaging confidence. Balanced correction strengthens maturity. Maturity stabilizes behavior. Stable behavior reinforces identity. Identity sustains growth. Personal power thrives in consistency rather than perfection. Ultimately, discipline and self-control form the backbone of personal power. Because when intentions consistently translate into aligned action, confidence becomes rooted in reliability rather than external validation. This chapter reinforces that inner authority is built quietly through daily discipline, transforming potential into strength and strength into lasting mastery. As discipline strengthens inner authority and self-control stabilizes daily behavior, the next dimension of personal power emerges through resilience and courage. Chapter 5. Resilience and Courage. Strengthening inner strength through challenge. In this chapter, we explore how resilience and courage deepen personal power, why facing discomfort builds authentic inner strength, and how meeting fear with awareness and action transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth and self-mastery. Resilience develops not in comfort, but in confrontation with difficulty, because it is only when circumstances become demanding that the depth of inner strength is revealed and refined through experience. When challenge appears, avoidance feels safe. Avoidance reinforces fear. Reinforced fear limits growth. Courage interrupts avoidance. Interruption creates action. Action builds evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. Belief stabilizes confidence. Personal power expands through endurance. Courage does not eliminate fear, but allows action despite fear. Because waiting for comfort before moving forward often results in stagnation rather than progress. Fear narrows perspective. Narrow perspective exaggerates risk. Courage widens perspective. Wider perspective restores proportion. Proportion supports reasoned action. Reasoned action reduces anxiety. Anxiety decreases with exposure. Inner strength grows through repeated confrontation. Adversity strengthens resilience by exposing weaknesses in mindset, preparation, or expectation, offering opportunities to correct and strengthen areas previously overlooked. Weakness revealed invites improvement. Improvement builds capability. Capability reinforces confidence. Confidence strengthens resolve. Resolve sustains effort. Effort compounds growth. Personal power matures through refinement rather than ease. Another dimension of courage is vulnerability. Because acknowledging uncertainty or limitation requires strength that transcends ego and deepens authenticity. Authenticity builds trust. Trust strengthens relationships. Strong relationships provide support. Support reinforces resilience. Resilience stabilizes personal power. Learning to remain steady during uncertainty also strengthens courage because clarity does not always precede action. and waiting for perfect certainty can delay necessary growth indefinitely. Action generates clarity. Clarity improves direction. Direction supports confidence. Confidence stabilizes courage. Courage fuels continued effort. Personal power thrives through forward motion. Resilience also includes recovery because enduring difficulty without restoration eventually weakens rather than strengthens resolve, making balance between persistence and renewal essential for sustainable inner strength. Renewal restores energy. Energy supports focus. Focus strengthens action. Action maintains growth. Growth reinforces belief. Facing criticism or rejection builds resilience because separating personal worth from external evaluation protects identity from unnecessary damage and strengthens emotional independence. Emotional independence stabilizes confidence. Stable confidence supports courageous action. Courage sustains direction. Direction strengthens inner authority. Ultimately, resilience and courage transform discomfort into development and fear into fuel, ensuring that personal power grows, not by avoiding hardship, but by engaging with it thoughtfully and persistently. This chapter reinforces that inner strength is built through repeated acts of courage, steady endurance, and balanced recovery, forming a powerful core that remains stable regardless of circumstance. As resilience and courage strengthen your ability to face difficulty without retreating. The next layer of personal power unfolds through clarity of purpose and identity. Because strength without direction can become scattered, while strength aligned with meaning becomes transformative. In this chapter, we explore how defining who you are and what you stand for anchors confidence, sharpens control, and gives inner power a steady and intentional direction. Chapter 6. Purpose and Identity, Aligning Power with Meaning. In this chapter, we explore how personal power becomes sustainable when aligned with purpose, why identity shapes behavior more deeply than motivation, and how clarity of meaning strengthens confidence, control, and inner strength over time. Personal power becomes truly stable when it is connected to a clear sense of identity, because without knowing who you are and what you value, confidence can become inconsistent and easily influenced by external opinion or temporary emotion. Identity guides behavior. Behavior reinforces belief. Belief shapes confidence. Confidence stabilizes action. Action compounds growth. When identity is unclear, behavior becomes reactive. Reactivity weakens direction. Direction is essential for sustained strength. Purpose provides coherence to effort because it links daily discipline to long-term meaning, transforming ordinary actions into steps towards something personally significant rather than random obligations. Meaning fuels commitment. Commitment sustains consistency. Consistency builds credibility. Credibility reinforces self-trust. Self-trust deepens confidence. Confidence strengthens inner authority. Understanding your core values clarifies boundaries because when values are defined, decisions become easier and self-control strengthens naturally without constant internal conflict. Clear values reduce hesitation. Reduced hesitation accelerates action. Action builds momentum. Momentum reinforces identity. Identity stabilizes power. Personal power thrives in alignment. Purpose also strengthens resilience because when challenges arise, meaningful direction provides context that makes struggle feel worthwhile rather than discouraging. Context reduces despair. Reduced despair preserves effort. Effort rebuilds progress. Progress restores confidence. Confidence fuels perseverance. Inner strength becomes anchored in vision. Identity shapes emotional control because individuals who see themselves as disciplined and capable respond differently to stress than those who identify with doubt or insecurity. Self-concept influences reaction. Reaction influences outcome. Outcome reinforces identity. This cycle can weaken or strengthen power. Conscious identity formation directs the cycle intentionally. Alignment between identity and action builds authenticity because consistent behavior strengthens internal harmony and reduces the tension that arises from pretending or performing for approval. Authenticity builds respect. Respect strengthens confidence. Confidence stabilizes presence. Presence enhances influence. Personal power becomes natural rather than forced. Another important lesson is that identity evolves because growth reshapes perspective and purpose over time, and wise individuals adapt their self-understanding without losing core values. Adaptability preserves relevance. Relevance strengthens clarity. Clarity supports consistent growth. Personal power expands alongside maturity. Ultimately, purpose and identity transform personal power from raw determination into focused strength, ensuring that confidence, control, and resilience serve a meaningful direction rather than scattered ambition. This chapter reinforces that when power is aligned with purpose, it becomes sustainable, balanced, and deeply rooted within who you are. As purpose sharpens direction and identity strengthens the foundation of personal power, the next transformation occurs in how that inner strength is expressed outwardly because confidence that remains internal eventually seeks expression through presence, communication, and influence. In this chapter, we explore how personal power is projected through calm authority. authentic expression, and consistent behavior that inspires trust rather than demands attention. Chapter 7. Influence and Presence, Projecting Inner Strength Outward. In this chapter, we explore how personal power shapes presence and influence, why authentic confidence creates impact without force, and how calm authority, clear communication, and consistent behavior allow inner strength to be expressed effectively in relationships and leadership. Presence is the outward reflection of inner stability because the way you carry yourself, speak, and respond under pressure communicates more about your confidence than any declaration of strength ever could. When inner doubt dominates, presence becomes hesitant. Hesitation weakens perception. Weak perception reduces influence. Personal power begins internally. Internal clarity stabilizes posture, tone, and expression. Stability builds trust. Trust enhances credibility. Credibility strengthens influence. Influence becomes natural rather than forced. Authentic confidence does not rely on volume or dominance, but on calm assurance that allows others to feel secure rather than intimidated in your presence. Calmness reduces tension. Reduced tension fosters openness. Openness improves communication. Communication strengthens understanding. Understanding builds connection. Connection enhances leadership. Personal power expands through steadiness. Clear communication strengthens influence because expressing thoughts concisely and honestly reduces confusion and prevents misunderstandings that erode credibility. Clarity prevents misinterpretation. Misinterpretation breeds conflict. Wisdom encourages thoughtful articulation. Thoughtful articulation strengthens respect. Respect enhances authority. Authority reinforces confidence. Personal power becomes evident in expression. Consistency between words and actions deepens presence because reliability builds trust more effectively than charisma or persuasion. Reliability strengthens reputation. Reputation supports influence. Influence shapes opportunity. Opportunity expands impact. Personal power grows through integrity rather than image. Listening is also a powerful component of influence because understanding others' perspectives builds empathy and reduces resistance during disagreement or negotiation. Empathy softens conflict. Softened conflict fosters collaboration. Collaboration strengthens relationships. Relationships reinforce influence. Personal power extends through connection. Another dimension of presence is emotional composure because maintaining calm during uncertainty reassures others and signals stability in leadership or difficult situations. Composure stabilizes environment. Stable environments encourage confidence. Confidence fosters cooperation. Cooperation amplifies effectiveness. Inner strength becomes visible through calm action. Boundaries reinforce presence because confidently declining misaligned requests or defending personal values demonstrates self-respect and clarity rather than aggression or insecurity. Clear boundaries protect energy. Protected energy supports focus. Focus strengthens performance. Performance enhances credibility. Personal power becomes balanced and controlled. Ultimately, influence and presence are natural extensions of cultivated inner strength because when confidence, clarity, or defending personal values demonstrates self-respect and clarity rather than aggression or insecurity. Clear boundaries protect energy. Protected energy supports focus. Focus strengthens performance. Performance enhances credibility. Personal power becomes balanced and controlled. Ultimately, influence and presence are natural extensions of cultivated inner strength because when confidence, clarity, and integrity align internally, they radiate outward without exaggeration or force. This chapter reinforces that personal power is not only felt within, but communicated through calm authority, authentic expression, and consistent behavior that inspires trust and respect over time. With confidence strengthened, emotions mastered, discipline solidified, resilience tested, purpose clarified, and presence refined, the final step in building personal power is integration, because strength becomes lasting only when it is practiced daily as a way of living rather than a temporary state. In this final chapter, we explore how personal power becomes a lifestyle rooted in awareness, control, and continuous growth. Chapter 8. Living in Personal Power, Integrating Confidence, Control, and Inner Strength. In this chapter, we explore how personal power becomes a daily practice rather than a momentary state, why integration of confidence, control, and resilience sustains inner strength, and how consistent alignment between identity and action transforms growth into a lifelong standard. Personal power becomes sustainable when it is integrated into daily behavior, because occasional strength cannot replace consistent alignment between intention and action. Daily alignment reinforces identity. Identity stabilizes confidence. Stable confidence supports discipline. Discipline sustains progress. Progress reinforces belief. Belief strengthens resilience. Personal power grows through repetition rather than intensity. Integration requires awareness because without reflection, habits drift and reactions return unconsciously, weakening control over time. Reflection preserves clarity. Clarity strengthens direction. Direction sustains momentum. Momentum supports confidence. Confidence deepens personal power. Awareness becomes a continuous practice. Consistency in small acts of discipline reinforces authority because daily decisions shape identity more powerfully than rare dramatic achievements. Small victories build reliability. Reliability strengthens trust. Trust enhances self-respect. Self-respect stabilizes presence. Personal power becomes grounded. Balancing effort with recovery preserves strength because sustainable power depends on renewal as much as determination, preventing burnout that can erode confidence and clarity. Recovery restores energy. Energy strengthens focus. Focus improves action. Action sustains growth. Growth reinforces identity. Adaptability maintains personal power during change because rigid confidence collapses under pressure while flexible strength adjusts without losing direction. Flexibility preserves resilience. Resilience supports stability. Stability strengthens presence. Personal power matures through adjustment. Humility protects growth because recognizing that development never ends prevents stagnation and encourages continued learning and refinement. Continuous learning strengthens perspective. Perspective improves judgment. Judgment sustains direction. Personal power evolves through awareness. Ultimately, living in personal power means choosing clarity over impulse, discipline over distraction, courage over avoidance, and integrity over approval every day, allowing confidence, control, and inner strength to remain steady regardless of circumstance. This final chapter reinforces that personal power is not a performance for others, but a commitment to self-mastery that shapes thought, action, and identity over time. As this audiobook comes to a close, it becomes clear that personal power is not something granted by status, circumstance, or recognition, but something cultivated quietly through self-awareness, disciplined action, emotional control, resilience, purpose, and consistent integrity over time. Throughout these 8 chapters, you have explored how confidence is built through action rather than affirmation, how emotional mastery stabilizes reactions under pressure, how discipline strengthens inner authority, how courage refines resilience, how purpose anchors strength and meaning, how presence projects authenticity outward, and how integration transforms these principles into a daily way of living. When these elements align, personal power no longer feels fragile or situational, but steady, balanced, and deeply rooted within your identity. If this audiobook helped you see confidence differently, strengthened your sense of control, or inspired you to build greater inner strength, we invite you to subscribe to Framer audiobooks like this audiobook, and share it with someone who wants to develop real personal power from the inside out. Because the right insight at the right moment can quietly reshape the way a person thinks, acts, and leads their life. We also encourage you to leave a comment and share which chapter resonated with you most, as your engagement helps this channel continue creating meaningful audiobooks designed to empower growth, clarity, and resilience. Thank you for listening to Framer Audiobooks, and remember that true personal power is not about controlling the world around you, but mastering the world within you, one deliberate thought and one disciplined action at a time.